Welcome to the 25 of us or so that are on the call. Brant just signed on, area code 504. Welcome, Brant. Today is January 29th, 2015. I think Chad, this is our 10th Mastermind call?
Yeah. Yes.
10th Mastermind call. As you guys can tell, we are growing like wildfire. I think we're approaching 100 members now. And this is just kind of an idea I had about 4 years ago, actually, that has really come to fruition. So it's very exciting for me. I appreciate you all being here. I wanted to start off, we always try to keep these calls real positive. I wanted to start off today with just some information that I need to go over again. Actually, it's one I've been telling you, I'm real good at kind of summarizing our program in 5 to 10 minutes, as most of you know. I had this idea years ago. I'm the founder of the company, and I'm basically the head salesperson. I'm really the only salesperson. Someone is calling in now to get the conference call number. Let me give it to them. Hang on a minute. Okay. And there's one thing I've been telling you guys that is not completely correct, or it's actually wrong, so I wanted to correct that. And there's a couple other things I wanted to clarify. I don't have anything to do with the data collection. We actually have boots on the ground. That's why this data is so hard to get and nobody else has it. We actually have people on the ground in every courthouse in the country. And there was some confusion this month because when you first sign up, whatever part of the month it is, you should get your leads in 10 business days. After that, I think I've been telling you guys that we send our researchers out on the first of the month. And I just found out this morning that's not completely true. Every courthouse in the country is different. Some have certain days of the week or the months that you can go in there and search through the record. We have some researchers that go out the middle of the month, the beginning of the month, the end of the month. So because this month we had a lot of people saying, hey, where are my leads? They're later than they were last month. So your first month, you're going to get the leads within 10 business days. Whatever part of and then in month 2, whenever you get the leads, whether it's the 1st or the 10th or the 15th or the 20th, you should get them about that same day every month. So I apologize for the confusion. I was misinformed there. The second thing I wanted to really clarify, guys, and I think most of you that are prospectors already understand this, we had an agent this week that quit because 17 of her 94 phone numbers were disconnected. And we get 100% of the information that we get from the probate court is accurate. About 20 to 25% of the time, the probate court will list the phone number of the heir. And so when we get those numbers directly from the probate court, they're always going to be 100% accurate. We take that data, we run it through multiple online databases, and we supplement it with additional phone numbers. And if any of you that have gotten phone numbers before, you probably know some of them are going to be cell phones, some are going to be landlines, some are going to be fax machines, some are going to be disconnected. So that's why I always tell, we're finding out of the 2 or 3 phone numbers that we get for you, anywhere from 65 to 95% of the time, it's probably an average of between 80 and 90% of the time, one of those phone numbers is going to be good. But there are going to be times when you're just not going to be able to reach the people by phone. That's why we highly recommend that you send a letter out and you follow it up with a phone call. I just wanted to clarify that. And then another thing I wanted to make you aware of, one of our newest clients, Deidre, are you on the call, Deidre? New client in Connecticut got her information back without attorney phone numbers. We checked with our researcher, and they said the attorney phone numbers are not correct, and we found out that the researcher was just being lazy. So they are available. So we sent them back out there to get the attorney phone numbers. So my third and last point, when you get your data, check it over. I mean, it isn't going to be perfect, but it's going to be accurate based on what we're able to get from the courthouse. And if there's anything missing like Deidre did, let us know right away, and we'll make it right. Any questions about any of those items, guys? I just kind of wanted to do a little housekeeping before we get started. Pretty clear? All right.
Clear as mud.
All right, clear as mud. Thank you. Chad, anything you want to start off with today?
No, I'll let you go today.
Okay. I know we have some tremendous wins. Every week we hear of new ones, and we've got Paul Hayhurst. Paul was, I think you were the second or third person that signed up for this service, Paul. When was your first month that you got leads?
I think it was either May or June.
May or June. You were way back at the beginning, and I knew Paul from having done short sales with him, and he was brave enough to take a chance on this. And you had you're not making phone calls, Paul. You're just sending out letters, correct?
Well, I was just sending out letters. I'm looking to advance here to get automated with the calls going out automatically, or the messages. I'm not sure what the terminology is for that. And I just managed, after all these months, to figure out how to get all my leads uploaded to Top Producer, and I'm ready to, turn this thing into an automation thing. It's just wearing me out. It's too much work to do.
So all you've been doing is sending letters, and if I remember, the first group of 160 letters you sent out, how many listings has that resulted in so far?
Of the first 6 months?
Right.
Realistically, I would say actual listings 6.
Okay.
Listings in the pipeline, probably another 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I actually have just gotten, of those 6 listings, 2 of them are under contract and going to be closing soon. So, like 2 deals in that time. But that's just from sending letters.
About 5?
Yeah.
I'm hopefully I can, improve on those numbers.
I thank you for sharing. I just wanted to give you guys the two polar opposites. So Paul is just sending letters, not making calls. David Bryant is not sending letters. He's just making calls. And David, how long?
Well, I'm trying to get you guys to send the letter.
I know you are. I think we had a little bit of a
teasing me, aren't you? It'll be too
What's
easy
that?
to send the letter. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
No, we're sending the letters for you. I think there was a glitch in getting your templates and everything uploaded, but I believe we're good to go on that. If not, please, when the call's over, get a hold of Chad. He's that's not going to be his full-time job, but for now he's kind of been spearheading that. But David, you got your first batch of leads how long ago?
I guess it was about the middle of December.
Okay. And you just got on the phone, and started making calls, and now you actually have 2 assistants that you've brought on board to help you with this, correct?
Right.
So they're actually dialing for dollars for you now.
Yes.
Okay. And what was you had a ridiculous initial response to your phone calls. Would you just kind of share with people what you're doing and what kind of results you've gotten so far?
Well, really, one of my folks, his name is Mitch Wells, and Mitch is really taking the bull by the horns and really jumped in there and started calling people. And I think you sent us 400 leads initially, because remember, I wanted to get, 2 or 3 months of older leads plus the new leads. And we probably called 250 people out of 400.
Okay.
And I would venture to say we got about 25 possibilities. We ought to get 3 or 4 listings, I would think, next week. Because what we're doing is, we're actually going out, meeting the people, looking at the property. When some of them are cleaning out the estate, or one of them is waiting on his brother in prison to sign off on it, and just, other little idiosyncrasies. But we've got about 20 or 25 pretty strong candidates, and we're going to start listing property, I would think, within a week.
Wow.
Agree with that? Yeah.
Excellent.
But there's a need for the service. You're going to get a few people that act like jerks over the telephone. But all in all, I just think there's really quality leads, is what I think.
Yeah, it really is low-hanging fruit. Thank you for the 2 of you sharing. Does anybody else have any wins they want to add, or do you have any questions for Paul or David?
me in Boise. Do you have anybody who is doing the calls and the letters and what those numbers look like?
Chad, could you hear that question?
Yes, and I will admit that I've dropped the ball on the calls component. When I consistently do a 3-touch letter campaign and place recorded calls, I try to have my ringless voicemail hit on the same day as the letter. And we typically list 2 homes per 100. So if we pull down a list of 100, we send 1 letter and make 1 phone call. We'll list 2 houses, and we'll do that 3 times throughout the campaign on each list.
Okay.
And that's been, other members across the country have been reporting, similar results when they do the combination of recorded voicemail, mail, or live phone calls. Live phone calls are obviously going to be better. It just comes down to a matter of time for me, so I choose to do the ringless voicemail either with fly broadcast or with voicecast.
Perfect, because I do inside sales in our office, so I'm on the phone all day anyhow. So we're just trying to figure out with getting started, what's the best approach to do that. I mean, I'm calling people all day anyhow, so.
Have you seen the campaign outline that we have?
No, we have not.
Okay. Look me. You can give me a call after this call or send me an email. Are you part of the Facebook group, the Mastermind group on Facebook?
No, I need to add that on there as well.
If you join there and go under Documents, you're going to see, I think there's 4 attachments. There's actually 5. So there's 4 sample letters, letter 1, 2, 3, and then the letter that Paul Hayhurst has had great success with. And then there's a document in there called Campaign Outline and Scripts. And that's basically my entire business in a Word document. So it's exactly how I do my import, the top producer, how I place the calls, the order of the sequence. And then there's also at the bottom of that outline, there's an inbound call script and an outbound call script. And I think that will help you greatly. That'll really help you get things into place quickly if you can download that and just follow it. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm kind of the big picture guy, and Chad will take your business, pull it apart, and put it back together for you. He's the nuts and bolts of how to make this happen. So we make a good team. Any other questions, guys, for Paul or David or anybody else?
Yes, for you,
Jim.
Jim, regarding the voicemail that you're using and the response that you're getting.
Yeah, I use Call Loop because it's, for me, I'm not a real techie. It's got a real friendly user interface, and it's very inexpensive. It's on the back end of our website. It says Call Loop. We actually have an affiliate link there. If you use that link, they give you like 25 free calls or something. But I shared this last week. I keep it very simple, and this is just me. I have not done a very good job. I just send out a letter and 1 voicemail, and because I've got 4 other businesses I'm running, and I mean I've got 3 probate closings this month and 3 next month, and I'm really not doing it the right way. But I just leave a message on Call Loop. You call a 1-800 number. I just leave a message that says, hey, my name is Jim. I noticed you inherited some property in Florida. If you're interested in selling that property, give me a call. And the phone number, and I hang up. And I literally have to sit there with the pen and paper to clear my voicemail because it only holds 35 messages. And I wait till all the calls stop coming back in. then I listen to them, and then I prioritize them, and then I return them. But now remember, I'm in South Florida. I'm sending out like 700 or 800 messages. So if you're only getting 20, 30 leads a month, or only sending, honestly, if you're only getting 20 or 30 or 40 leads a month, you can probably pick up the phone and call them all. But if you get 1,000 a month, it's really important that you find a good way to automate contacting the people, because you're never going to get.
Yeah, and
Go ahead,
just a little piece of advice for those of you that do have big lists and you're starting your first automated call campaigns. Break it into lists of. My advice is don't dial more than 100 people at a time until you've tried it. Like if you have a list of 400, do 4 dials throughout the day. Because what I find, we get about a 20% callback rate on my market. And I made the mistake of calling 892 people one time in about a minute and a half, and I had 250 voicemails. It was just it was kind of overwhelming. So expect results when you do this, because we do have good numbers, and we are, this is a very direct marketing campaign. It's not like you're calling expireds and 7 other people are calling. You're the only person that called. And if you do your message right, it's going to sound like you made that call directly to one person. So just keep in mind that we see about a 20% callback rate. So don't overwhelm yourself and place 1,000 on your first go.
And I think I've mentioned to you guys before, when I was a realtor, I made 100 contacts a day. It was rare that I spoke to anyone that didn't have a dozen other realtors calling them. I would use this in your regular real estate business too, for your sphere of influence and past clients. You can tell Call Loop first Tuesday of every month, call all my past clients and leave a message. Hey, it's Jim. Just wondering, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell real estate? It's 5 cents a piece for the calls. So you can send out 100. You make 100 phone calls for $5. Ridiculously inexpensive.
Something I did on that, Jim, for past clients. So when taxes are due, like here, December 5th is the deadline for taxes. And most people have taxes escrowed into their mortgage, but it's a reason that someone's probably never called them to say, hey, just a reminder, if your taxes aren't escrowed, you need to pay those. And then another call is one, this time of the year, right around January 30th, be sure to look out for and I can't remember the name of the form right now, your mortgage interest write-off. Be sure to get that form to your accountant. Your bank should be sending it by January 31st. But you can use it for those little simple touches. And like you said, you can call 100 people for $5 or whatever. It can really help in other areas of your business too.
And if you're going to use Call Loop, use the affiliated link on the back end of our site. They give you a little bit of a break, and they'll give you some free calls. Before that question,
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Relates to reverse mortgage, people that pass away in probate with a reverse mortgage. Does anybody have an experience as to how to handle that?
Yeah, it's no different, unless it's a short sale. We've had a few that were actually short sales because the people were upside down. If they owe more than the reverse mortgage than the property's worth, guess what? You can call me because I have a short sale company. We'll do the short sale for you. If there's equity in the property, then it's no different than any other probate. You just need to. There might be a little more urgency because the heirs probably don't want to keep making that payment, and they don't want it to get foreclosed. But
that's what I've found. So that's probably the second most urgent lead that you can get. If there is a reverse mortgage, the debt just keeps racking up on the house. So they're obviously trying to clear that as quickly as they can because it's just eating away at the estate value. So they're really good leads, and they're typically homes in better condition in my market.
Perfect. Good questions, guys. What else?
Yeah, I've got a question that's cooking. You're gonna have to wait a minute or two to let it cook.
That's okay. There's about 35 of us on the call, so great turnout. We got a really good cross-section of the country represented. Anybody else that's places you're getting started? Any questions at all?
Has anybody put together basically a business plan with all of the this is the way my business is run, and you could take and hand that over to another, and everything is just there. How you make it work. Has everybody done that?
You broke up a little bit. Did you catch that, Chad?
I did, and I assume you're talking about anyone other than me. You got the one I sent you, Carl, right?
Yes. Well, what I'm saying is that there are moving parts. You've got your database system that you've got to understand. You've got your leads that are coming. You've got to import them. You've got to be consistent so that everything follows through every month in the same manner. If not, you're not consistent and don't use the exact same thing, you've got problems. And so it's kind of like standardizing your business. This is the way my business is run. Has anybody started to do that?
I mean,
Hello?
we're here. If you have a business plan, it's just another component of your business plan. As you know, Carl, we're trying to make this as turnkey as possible for you. We will do your mailings for you, despite what David Bryant says. They do get sent out. Just kidding, David. If call Chad or me after the call, and we'll figure out where we are in your process, because we need to get those out. I know we've been talking about it for a week or so. But as far as sending the letters, you can automate that. You can either automate the calls, or you just need to block out a time period every day to make a certain number of calls. And then the third component, I think, would be follow-up. When you get the leads, you just got to make sure. We've talked before, guys, these leads have a significant shelf life. And if this bears repeating, that it's been our experience that it's about 60 days from the time the person dies until the probate is filed. And almost without exception, the heirs do not do anything to list or sell the property until the probate process is completed, which can be another 3 to 6 months. So one of the things that we strongly recommend you tell them on the first call, you can't, in most cases, sometimes you can get a court order and sell the property right away, but in most cases, you can't transfer the title for a few more months, but we can go ahead and get the property listed now, and we can market it and use this downtime, and there's a good chance by the time the probate is done, we'll have a buyer for your property. So, Carl, I'm not sure if that answered your question, other than you just need to take each of those components and schedule it. Just make it part of your overall business plan. Is that what you were asking, or not really?
Well, it's a process, okay?
Right.
And so it's kind of overwhelming, the process. Each one, there's so much learning that you need to do in every area.
Well, Carl, you might tell the group why you're overwhelmed. How many leads are you getting a month?
Well, I've got 400, and so
you're getting 400 a month.
Well, I've got 400 a month, and I got to start working them with my team that are on the
right.
with me.
That's significantly more than the average. Good for you. That's 400 opportunities. So you could do a horrible job and have a 1% conversion rate. You'd be doing okay.
Well,
hey, Jim.
Yes.
Hey, this is Imran. How are you?
Hey, Emrod, boy, you're a good person to answer that question. Thank you. Emrod is in New York. Emrod, how many leads are you getting a month?
250 to 75.
Okay, and you're in New York, and you have really systematized it. So can you help Carl with that a little bit?
Well, I actually use Vulcan 7. I could make phone calls. That's what I do. I had pretty good success. I got a listing, sellable. We got offers, like 6 offers in one day. And it's going to contract maybe within a week or so. And that's the first listing. And what else? I have
What is the name of that
7
system?
to 10 people. Vulcan 7.
Vulcan 7?
Vulcan 7.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's the best. It's not cheap, but it's well worth it. What do you pay a month for Vulcan 7, Imran?
You subscribe yearly, so $250 a month.
$250 a month.
I get $300 if you do monthly.
Yeah, it's an auto dialer on steroids. A good friend of mine, actually, Ren Jones, owns the company. It is really. Chad, how would you compare Vulcan 7 to using Top Producer or Infusionsoft?
It's totally different. I think. I mean, you can use.
Yeah, totally different.
It's Vulcan 7.
I have Infusionsoft that serves different purposes.
It's a prospecting platform. So, like, if you guys want to set up an end-to-end system, I recommend Top Producer. I mean, there are systems that will do better. Infusionsoft is obviously the top shelf, but if you don't have a lot of experience building CRMs, I wouldn't recommend it. Top Producer is something that you can use out of the box, and I can help you customize. Like what I'm doing with Carl right now is, and Carl, I don't know if you've gone through everything I sent you last night, I've imported
This morning early, yes.
Yeah, so what I can help you guys with is getting your leads imported from the top producer in the correct way, getting your action plans laid out. So the system will essentially tell you how to run your business. It will say you need to send a letter on this date, you need to make a phone call here, you need to do this, this, and this. And that's something that we're doing a la carte, and I will say that I'm learning as I go because we didn't know it was going to go in this direction. So I can work with people and help you systemize this into your business. We're working with several teams across the country now. Imran doesn't need my help. He's as good of a systems guy, and probably better than I am. But one thing I will say, in working with people, when we introduce them to this, a lot of people get overwhelmed. And there's two guys on the call that you guys all need to look at. Look at the success of David Bryant and the success of Paul Hayhurst. They didn't get caught up and overwhelmed about not having it in the CRM or not having this or not having that. In the words of Seth Godin, they shipped it. You know, they put mail out. They picked up the phone and they put mail in the mailbox, and they've got revenue almost automatic. You know, in a matter of weeks, they have revenue. So what I would say is don't get caught up on the small stuff. We'll get you there, and I can help implement it. But, you know, when you get your leads in that first month, take action. Do something. Get mail, get letters out, get phone calls out, and then it's easier to steer a moving truck. So once we start getting some momentum in your business, then we can help figure out how to best roll it in and make it the most efficient for you.
Perfect. I think that's a perfect answer to this question. Yeah. Excellent. Guys, we got about 5 minutes. Any other burning questions that we need to answer this week?
Jim, real quick question. Does anybody have any experience getting court confirmation to sell prior to, the time frame that you were talking about before they can sell on their own?
Yeah, my understanding, and I think it varies greatly from state to state.
It does.
In Florida, it's really all based on the specifics of the will. If the will says, depending on the way the property was inherited and the way the will is worded, I've done, I probably bought a dozen probate properties over the last couple of years, and I've got about 20 under my belt. And I'm just thinking here, I think I've had two where they had to go to court to get a court order, and we were able to close prior to the probate being completed, and the funds just get deposited in escrow and dispersed when the probate's done. Right. But vast majority of them, you're going to have to complete at least in Florida. You're going to have to you're going to have to complete the legal process before the title can be transferred. But just like I said, most of the time, if I was buying and flipping it, I already had a buy. The ones I bought and flipped, by the time the probate was done, I had a buyer ready to close. And the ones I've listed, I would say half the time, by the time the legal work was done, we had it sold already. Right. Okay. What state are you in?
Oh, we're in Kentucky, and I've just been researching the basics, and I know prior to that point where they have control over selling, there's a court. You have to go through a court confirmation process and some other things. I'm getting the technicalities on it kind of worked out if that comes up. Sure. A, to help if we get a situation where it helps us close, and B, so if anybody asks any questions about the process, we sound like we know what we're talking about. Sure.
Yeah. I made a suggestion to Carl. Guys, we've got a really bad echo from somebody.
Yeah, I think that's David. David, I'm gonna block you out for just a minute. Okay, hang on.
Anyways, I made a suggestion to Carl this week. He was kind of asking the same questions and seeing the same challenges. What I did in my market, I moved to Virginia from Hawaii, so it was literally the other side of the world, and I knew nothing about the Commonwealth government. So to educate myself, I didn't, instead of going online and going here and going there, I just went to the probate clerk, and I set up an appointment. I sat down with her, and I said, fortunately, I've never been through this. Please walk me through a probate as you would any family member who comes in with a will. And we kind of went through a dry run. And she said, here's how you bring in a list of accounts and assets. You publish a list of heirs. You do da 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 da. and she walked me through it. And for you guys, I mean, to help build your confidence on the phone when you're talking to people and really be an expert, I think everybody should do that. You know, you should put an hour on your calendar and just say, I'm going to the county courthouse, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn everything there is to know about this. And I don't think there's a quicker way or a more thorough way to learn the process than just going down there and going through it with the clerk. So I would suggest to everybody to set that appointment with your local probate clerk and walk through the process.
That's an awesome idea. Thanks. So we're definitely going to look into that.
And on the other extreme, if you don't have time to do that, I've never done it. And I was sharing, John, with you and your team, I was sharing earlier, I have found probate listings to be so much easier than a regular listing because almost without exception, you never go on a listing appointment. You have a conversation by phone, you send over a CMA, you email the paperwork, it comes back signed. It's just been, no matter how little you know, I promise you probably know more than the air. I've been really surprised how little I had to know to get started, and I've kind of picked it up as I went along. But if you've got the hour to sit down at the courthouse, I also think that's a great idea. But don't let it paralyze you from taking action if you don't have time.
Sure. Yeah, we're really excited to get started. So,
excellent.
You know, this is going to be real good for us, I'm sure.
Excellent. Well, this is a great call, guys. We have almost 40 people on the call, so I really thank those of you that contributed. Hey, as long as I got such a good turnout, I wanted to just pose one question.
I have one other question.
Oh, go ahead. Ask your last question.
So you had indicated because it takes 60 days for probate to come about to where you can actually list it. I had just signed on, so I haven't gotten my first list yet. My question is, will I be able to get a list that then goes back 2 months since I could still maximize on that?
That's a great question. We can get historical data for you in 95% of the counties we do business in. There is a cost because there's a time cost to go gather it. It usually runs about 80%, about 20% less than the new data. So if you wanted to go like David did, David, you went back 2 months, I think, right, David Bryant? Oh, I muted him out. David, you went back a couple months, right? Initially, correct?
Yeah, because I just figured it was going to take time, for all this to go through probate and everything. So I figured, you'd have to kind of, work it, kind of stay ahead of the curve. But at the same time, maybe some of this stuff would come up sooner rather than later, and you'd get some instant deals. So,
David, have you noticed any difference in the response rate or the effectiveness of the 2 or 3 months old leads versus the brand new ones? Are they about the same?
Well, I haven't. We're waiting on our next batch to come in, but I really have not gotten any new leads. I mean, we got October, November, December. I even had one from August. Oh, yeah, from August, yeah. So I haven't seen any new leads.
Okay. No, I mean, you said, I think you ordered some historical, right? You ordered some old
ones? Yeah.
And you're not noticing any difference from the historical versus the current?
No.
Okay. Good answer. Thanks. I didn't think so. The last thing I wanted to pose to you all, we really don't want to push this because we want you all to be successful generating income, but I keep having people ask me about the divorce data. We can get divorce data. Our intention is we really don't want to roll that out until the second quarter of next year, and it'll be on a per-request basis. So if you have an interest in divorce data, we'll start looking into it county by county. Our experience is you're going to get about twice as many divorce leads as probate. Somebody said, yeah, that's because you can only die once, and there's probably some validity to that. But it's a whole different field. But I've had enough of you ask me multiple times. Send me an email, jim@alltheleads.com, if you think you have a fairly immediate interest in the divorce data. Otherwise, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And guys, thank you. This call went longer than we like for it to. I really appreciate everybody showing up today. You've got our phone number and our contact info. Get out there and be next week's success story. I appreciate y'all calling in.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.